hot, bold, sweet, smooth, and always flavorful. Welcome to my morning coffee. 3 generations of successful women, brewed with black girl magic, and French press with class, sass, and style. Gia, Tonya, and Sarita are my morning coffee.
All right.
You look great, Tonya. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Forever. Yes, we got to talk about that too because I want to know what you've been up to. But we are live now on Facebook with Sam Mandel. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode of My Morning Coffee, where the conversation is always hot, bold, and full of flavor. And today promises not to disappoint. We will get into some really juicy stuff, but before we do, let's go ahead and go around and see what everybody's been up to. Miss Gia, what is in your cup today?
Good morning, everyone. I have coffee in my cup, much needed for me today. I'm very tired for some reason. I haven't been sleeping, and I don't know if it's that thing that they call that women deal with as they become seasoned. So I don't know if that's keeping me up or if it's these bones of mine, aches and pains that I've been experiencing in the last 6 to 9 months that are keeping me up. But for some reason, I'm not sleeping well. So I'm feeling really tired. I feel like I'm on something for some reason. And I don't like that. But other than that, that's the only thing that's in my cup. Let me see. This past weekend, I did my vending thing. I was back at the Hollywood Artisan Market this weekend in Hollywood, and sold a few things. I debuted my my new T-shirt. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a T-shirt because it's a collection. It's gonna be on everything. My denim patch collection, and I had some T-shirts out there this weekend. So I've been working on that. I'm always working on something creative to expand my palette because you know me, I can't stay in one lane. I'm all over the place. And that might be the police in me, you know. I go where I want to go. That kind of thing. So yeah. But before I move on, I want to say something. You know, Tonya, when you sent the flyer of this week's guest, when I first saw the flyer, I was like, shut the front door. We having Sheldon from the Big Bang Show on the show. Girl, I thought that was Sheldon. And I was like, oh my God, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Sheldon. I'm a fan of Big Bang. I was like, Tonya, I was gonna say, Tonya, girl, you don't went big on us and stuff. Got a Sheldon. But, I see it's Sam, not Sheldon, it was Sam. But I was excited. Sam, I don't know if people told you that before, but you kind of, look like the Sheldon guy. What's his name?
Funny.
Parson, I don't remember his first name. You kind of favor him. So I was excited. I was like, ooh, Sheldon. But then she says, no, just Sam. It's Sam. I was like,
she didn't say just Sam, Tonya.
She did not say just Sam. Actually, I said, he's also an actor, so you can fangirl on him too.
She said it's going to be an even bigger bang, actually. Sam Mandel.
Okay. So, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's funny. Actually, that's a first. I have not gotten that yet. But yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's for me. I don't have much, my weekend was kind of boring. Oh, you know what? I forgot. It wasn't boring because I visited you, Tonya, and I want to tell you that cake you made. Oh, girl. It was delicious. It was delicious. And I did give some slices to Jeff. I didn't want to, but I did give him some. And he said it was delicious too. So if you want to start making cakes, put them in a rotation or whatever, I can stop by. I know we're still doing the COVID thing. I don't have to come up either. If you want, I can just sit in the car and the kids can bring the cake down to the car because, ooh, girl, that cake was good.
Was it?
Yes.
Look,
you know, because I don't really cook much. So, you know, I'm like, oh, it was good. It was good. But no, it was good. No, it was good.
So that was my first cream cheese pound cake in a while.
Wow.
Yeah, from scratch. And I used to cook a lot and then I stopped, right? Got kind of lazy. You know, it's a thing that happens when you start a business and you work on it all the time. Um, Fast food or faster food like Trader Joe's in the oven real quick works really well. But Ray made it very clear that my younger children had not experienced my cooking the way my older son and sisters had. So I've kind of picked it up again. I think I made a banana pudding about 3 weeks ago. I still do the peach cobbler when I'm just having a craving. But yeah, it was my first pound cake in a while. So thank you.
Nice. Sounds delicious.
Yeah, got to share some with you. Got to share some with you. So,
I'm ready.
and you know,
So, you know, Tanya, that list you have of like Gia's favorites, because I know you have a list, Tanya, that says Gia's favorites. Add that cheesecake pound cake to my list of favorites, because you know I'm easy. I don't really want much and stuff. So you know, and the birthday is coming. Put it out there. It'll be here in a few months, and you know I don't really like store-bought cake. So you know, if you feel inclined to, you know, maybe around that time, you know, whip another one out. You know,
okay.
Gia's favorites.
Favorites. I put that on the list. Dude, you're waving that fan like a church lady. Like, what's going on?
You know, look, don't judge me. I'm having a moment. This is part of the process. You know, I'm trying to embrace this thing and not be all depressed about it. So right now it's a little warm. And I'm gonna say it's because I'm looking at Sam. I'm gonna go with that because Sam is on the screen and Sam got me hot. Okay, let's do it. Let's put it like that. Okay.
Almost Sheldon is heating it up.
Yeah. Oh my God. So look, though, Gia, you did say you felt like you were on something. Maybe you need to be on something.
You know, all right, Sam, I see you. You know, Tanya.
Fair question.
I don't know. I'm trying to fight that because I don't like taking things. That's another thing. I'm not one of those people that want to take a whole bunch of stuff because I'm afraid I'm going to get addicted to something. And so that's why I don't, even when the doctor prescribes pain medication for me, I don't take it a lot because I always think about these women that, you know, that have, you know, get an injury and they start taking medication and they can't get off the medication and, you know, they live on medication, and I don't want to be one of those kind of women. And yeah, I'm sure it's men to do the same thing, but I just every time I hear medication, I always think that, oh God, I'm going to get addicted. So you know, I don't even.
The addiction probably doesn't go over well with law enforcement either, right? Like, probably.
Well, no, it doesn't go well with anything. It's just I just have a fear of becoming addicted to drugs, some kind, you know, and so it could be some, you know, some stuff, you know, from my childhood, you know, family, you know, things like that, you know, so maybe that could be it too. So
okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and leave you substance free, but I have heard that CBD helps you sleep well, and I actually got that confirmed by Officer John Naylor, right? He did tell me that his daughter, you know, was experiencing some things from medical treatment, and it helped her sleep really well. So, okay, and so maybe I know a little bit about that too, but we'll just leave that.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk offline about that, you know, because you know,
or you never know. Sam might know a little something, but let's get into that. And Sam, what's in your cup this morning?
I got a pour over freshly made coffee. I've been making my coffee by hand every morning since the pandemic started, which is just another little morning meditation ritual, which is kind of nice. I grind the beans, I put it in a little pour over. I use a little Japanese kettle and I, you know, pour it over and I let it sit and then I pour it over again, and usually 2 or 3 times. And it's, you know, I think it's like the most intimate you can be connected to your morning cup of coffee. So
okay, so you okay, Sam, let's go back to that, okay, because by hand and stuff. Okay, as opposed to popping it in the Keurig or coffee maker, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a little pot and you pop it in a machine and press a button, it's not exactly
the same as
the same thing as you grind the beans and you scoop it over and you get out a filter and you put a cone on top of the cup and you boil the water and you pour it over. It's a whole process.
Oh, it's a whole experience. Okay.
It's an experience.
It's experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Go live one day and give us the experience. I mean, you're selfish. I need to know how this whole thing takes place.
It's pretty delicious, and the coffee tastes really strong. It tastes really good. Yep. And of course, I got Robin Williams on my cup. Good morning, Vietnam. I love this guy, one of my heroes. So,
Here's to Robin.
to Robin.
I'm still watching documentaries about him, right?
What a
there's
genius.
so many, and there's always something new that comes out about mental health, mental illness, the things that he's gone through. I think his kids are older now, and they're starting to talk about some things. So he's always been one of my favorites. And of course, he's from the Bay Area. So
Yep.
miss him dearly. So what's been up with you with the pandemic, and other than making your own freshly brewed coffee that we can't have any of, what else has been going on business wise? Acting, the ketamine clinic. Give me a rundown. How have you been?
So yeah, I mean, you were asking me in the beginning a little bit about whether or not, the pandemic has impacted business in a positive way or not. Unfortunately, more people than ever before are suffering from depression and anxiety, and rates of substance abuse and all kinds of issues have skyrocketed. But because people are afraid to leave the house, or they're experiencing financial hardship, there's definitely been a huge drop off in the number of people coming in for treatment at my clinic.
So,
And
tell the listeners a little bit more about the clinic and how you and your dad started this clinic, and kind of who comes to see you.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder and COO of Ketamine Clinics, Los Angeles. I co-founded it with my father, Dr. Sam Mandel. And we've been running this clinic for about 7 years together, and we treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, and other mood disorders and chronic pain with ketamine infusions. And it's a pretty new treatment. We've been doing it for 7 years, but it's still not quite yet mainstream, but it's very rapidly moving in that direction. And we really pioneered the treatment. My father in particular, on the medical side of things, really is a world-renowned pioneer in the space. And it's been an amazing journey, and I'm not a doctor or a clinician. I'm on, the operations side, but I've been, obviously working with my dad and very closely with our team and all of our patients. I've gotten pretty ingrained in some of the clinical aspects of it as well. And it's been one of the most fulfilling, amazing things I've ever done.
What is the
Hey, so Sam, let our viewers know, because when Tonya pitched you to me, because she's always pitching something to somebody.
That's Tonya.
And I trust Tonya 100% because she's good at what she does, and she knows a whole lot. And whereas unlike me, I know a little bit. Just kidding. I know a lot
I'm sure
too.
You know a lot too, yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, so when she first pitched it, she always catches me off guard, for some reason. And she catches me when I'm probably in the car, looking at my phone when I shouldn't be, and things like that. So she sent your pitch, and she said something about ketamine, and she said something about, police injecting a suspect with ketamine. And I'm like, ketamine, is that some horse shit? This is what I'm thinking, something to get stuff. So I'm trying to drive and look at this. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, excuse me. Oh, and this is our podcast. I can say fuck. What the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? It's Tonya they talking about police give sex plus ketamine. I'm like, where the hell is this going on at? Because I'm thinking, I'm a police. I'm like, I'm not driving around with no damn syringe in my, on my gun belt and shooting no suspects with no ketamine. Where is this? I'm like, and I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. I'm like, this is not real. And she's like, no, G, it's a thing. It's a thing, so stuff. And I'm like, no, Tonya, because now I'm trying to be authority in my profession. No, Tonya, it's not. No, G, it's a thing. It's a thing. Wow. I read this article. So then she sent me all these articles. And I was like, shut the front door. I started reading this, and I'm like, oh my God. So tell our viewers, okay, it's used for depression and forms of mental illness and stuff.
Yeah.
Why and I guess, I don't know, is it now becoming more popular in the industry, the mental health community, or has it always been there and we just didn't know about it? And why is it ketamine versus another type of drug?
Yeah, so great questions. And you just brought up, this is such a vast subject. We could honestly talk about it for hours. So I'm going to just dive into that, and then I will steer me where you want me, because I can talk about it for days. But you just brought up a lot of great points. So first of all, let's just say what ketamine is real quick, because it has a lot of different identities. It's a very versatile medicine. Ketamine is an FDA approved anesthetic. It was approved by the FDA in 1970. It's among the most widely used anesthetics in the world. It's all over the world been used because it's very safe, it's inexpensive, it doesn't suppress breathing or heart rate. So in crisis situations or third world countries, when they don't have proper monitoring equipment, you can sedate someone with ketamine and be pretty confident they're going to continue to breathe. So really valuable medicine. It's also used in veterinary medicine. That's why people say, oh, that's a horse tranquilizer or that's a cat tranquilizer. Why are you giving that to people? Well, no, it's a human medicine. It's also used in veterinary medicine. The first time I've heard, isn't that some horse shit? Usually people say that's a horse tranquilizer, but I like that. Isn't that some horse shit? Yeah, it is some horse shit. And it's also some human shit. And it's also a drug that people use recreationally. And people go, wait, special K? So yeah, ketamine is special K. And they go, isn't that illegal? Well, no, it's a legal medicine that it's illegal for people to use at the club. You know, a lot of things that have a great potential to help people and to heal can be misused, right? It's all about the application and the intention behind it. So it's got these multiple identities, and depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you emphatically, no, that's an illegal street drug, or no, that's a human anesthetic. No, that's what my dog gets when he gets teeth cleaning. You know, so it's an interesting medicine. But in the last 20 years, it's been researched heavily for mental illness, for depression, PTSD, suicidal thinking, and 20 years is a good amount of time. In healthcare and in medicine, it's still relatively new. And only in the last 7 or so have clinics like ours, we were among the very first to open, actually started offering it to the general public. One of the reasons why it isn't more known is because big pharma can't make money with it because the patent is up. And they only promote medicines that they can profit from. So even though this is an amazing medicine that actually heals, like, you know, in the research, 70% of people, and in our clinic, 83% of people from their afflictions, because they can't make money on it, they're not marketing, they're not lobbying, you're not hearing about it. And it's really sad, but a lot of people don't realize that, you know, in the United States and in much of the world, healthcare is not dictated by best treatment outcomes and what's best for people. It's dictated by money. And big pharma has that influence, and they want to come out with agents that are similar enough, but that they can patent so they can profit.
Okay, so how does one come to you in your clinic to get the ketamine?
So typically people contact us directly. We get referrals from other providers as well, from therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, all types of, even sometimes general practitioners or internists, because actually the majority of antidepressant medications are prescribed by general practitioners. But we get a lot of people who contact us directly for the reasons I was just mentioning. Their doctors don't even know about ketamine. I mean, a lot of our patients are actually better read on the topic than your average physician. A lot of doctors really don't know anything about it, and it's sad. But again, no one's trying to put it in their on the menu for them. You know, hey, you should tell your patients about this, because, you know, no one's lobbying for it.
Now, does ketamine have like side effects? I know how some drugs that are used to treat mental illnesses and stuff, they, I guess, have a steroid in them, and, you know, sometimes the patients, they're gaining weight from taking the medication. Does ketamine have things like that in there, that where if a person was taking it, that they would have some kind of, what are the side effects?
Yeah, so a lot of the antidepressant medications, pretty much all of them have negative side effects, and weight gain is a really big one. And, you know, if you're already depressed and you're feeling badly and not motivated and low energy, and then you put on a bunch of weight, it's only going to compound that problem. That's not going to help anything. Also, loss of libido, sometimes even an increase in suicidal thoughts. I mean, there's a whole slew of dry mouth, you know, lethargy. So there's a whole slew of negative side effects with pills. With ketamine, none of those are a factor. So there's actually no long-term side effects with ketamine in the doses that we're using clinically. And the short-term are super minimal. So like on the day of treatment, people might feel a little bit fatigued or a little dizzy. They're not able to drive for the rest of the day, but after a full night of sleep, they're back at work the next day, no problem, and has none of those side effects. So that's one of the amazing things about ketamine. It also works in a couple of days. So whereas those medications might take 4 to 6 weeks to start working, and the doctor's adjusting the dose, and maybe we need to add a second medication and trying to get, that blood serum level to the right level and figure out what's right for you, because it is a personal thing, that can take literally months. And if you tinker with that for a few months and you're not getting what you want, maybe we need to start over again, back to the drawing board with a different medication. That can be a really long and painful process for a lot of people. I've seen it with close friends and family. Ketamine infusions work in a couple of days, usually within a week. They're fast.
Okay, that's a good question you bring up, because I work with the mentally ill in my profession. So I deal with a lot of the psychologists and psychiatrists on a daily basis. So my question to you is, how do you guys have any pushback, or do you get any pushback from the psychiatrist community about using ketamine? Because you're right, so a lot of times we spend a lot of time when they are medicating people with mental illnesses for weeks to try to find the right doses to get them where they can function and be okay and not acting out and having erratic behaviors and stuff. Sometimes it does take a while to get it. And then once you get it, sometimes it seems like the doses doesn't last long, it wears off, and then you're back, you got to start all over again. So how do the psychiatrists feel about ketamine?
Yeah, so there, as a whole, the psychiatric community is becoming more enthusiastic about it, but it's definitely not there yet. And, that's such a broad question and it's tough to answer because there's so many, psychiatrists, there's so many different backgrounds and types of people and, different, ideologies about how they approach their practice. In general, it's tricky because the way to really do ketamine right is through IV infusions, and psychiatrists don't do procedural stuff like that. They don't do IVs typically. Now, a good one can work with a nurse or with a medical professional to do that, but they don't really touch patients,
Right.
This is an actual in-office procedure. We start an IV, we infuse it for an hour. There's prep, recovery, we use monitoring equipment. It's a whole thing, and for psychiatrists, it's kind of like, this is my area of expertise and I don't want you messing with it. And, my father's an anesthesiologist and he has a master's degree in psychology, very unique kind of dual background. He was on his way to get his PhD and he changed like last minute, right before his dissertation. He would have a PhD if he did his dissertation, but he switched up and became an anesthesiologist, but always was very passionate about mental health and healing people. And this was such a perfect fit because ketamine's an anesthetic and he's used it since it was synthesized. So here's an anesthesiologist expert using an anesthetic, now finding it can be really, really powerful at helping with mood disorders, which is an area of interest for him. So it's such a perfect fit. A lot of psychiatrists would say, I'm the mental health person, you be the anesthesiologist, don't mess with my patients. But at the end of the day, doctors swear an oath to try to alleviate suffering, and anyone who can help should help. Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world, in the United States and in the world, over all other disability. Over 44,000 people kill themselves in the US alone every year. It's like over 125 a day. So everyone needs to come together and do whatever they can to address this problem. And it's only getting worse and worse, not better. So some of the psychiatrists that I think are not as interested in healing might feel threatened by it, or it threatens their practice. There's definitely a lot of great psychiatrists too, though, who are really excited because they have been stumped with the tools available to them and frustrated, who love their patients, who want to help their patients, who feel that all the medicines we have today are not really great. They're using what tools they have, and they want something new. And they're excited that there isn't something new, even though it's an old drug, but a new use that can really make a difference. And there are great psychiatrists who run ketamine clinics, others who refer patients to us. They manage the meds, they let us do the ketamine, we work collaboratively. It's not a competition for patients, it's a collaboration. And there's a lot that are just not informed. A lot of doctors, they get their niche, they get their specialty, and they stick to it. And it's disappointing how few of them are really open to innovation in the space. So, there's all different types out there.
Sam, I used to be a licensed esthetician. We did medical SD treatments. Botox is one of them, right? And
I might need some of that. I don't know.
And a few years ago, I noticed that they started using Botox for migraine headaches. Right? I was like,
wait a minute.
Did not teach us that. We never studied that. I don't even know where it came from. And I say all that to ask you, in regards to ketamine, now that my first time hearing about ketamine was really after when we met, when you guys were opening the clinic. When I was out in Marina Del Rey with Southland Publishing. And I was just taken aback. I was like, oh my God, horse shit. I mean, horse tranquilizer. And we met and you opened my mind a lot to ketamine, something that was always known as a horse tranquilizer. And now we're seeing that it is used in law enforcement. It's actually been applied and a kid died, Elijah. And then now it's a party drug. So what else is ketamine used for, and how did it become what it is now? It's so widely used.
Yeah.
All doctors even approve it, but now it's being used by law enforcement and as a party drug and probably some other things that.
Right. Yeah, it's also a great analgesic for pain relief. I mean, it really is an amazing medicine. And maybe I sound like I've drank, the Kool-Aid or something like that, but I mean, it really is incredibly ubiquitous. It's versatile. It truly is a life-saving medicine when people are depressed or suicidal in mental health. It works faster, better, safer than anything available today. It truly is a drug of abuse and has been for a long time, and people getting high. The number of people, how frequently, the population that's abusing it compared to all the other uses is smaller than a lot of people like to talk about, because, sex and drugs sell, and let's make it hot and controversial, right? That's what people really want to talk about. But it's there. People use ketamine recreationally. It is really used in the veterinarian's office. It's a great analgesic, a pain reliever. Instead of opiates, more and more doctors are starting to realize actually that ketamine is not as addictive as what you were talking about, Gia. It's just as good or better at relieving pain. And it doesn't cause issues like constipation and some of the other problems that high doses of opiates cause. So it's got a lot of different uses.
As a party drug, what's, I'm not a party person like that where,
Really?
Using
like
drugs.
A party person.
I'm a party person, but no, I'm
you,
talking about using drugs, going to these, we remember they're probably still going on those rave parties and things like that. So when you say it's used as a party drug, what is the benefit? What does it make? How does it make a person feel if I'm partying? Does it have me like, hey, I can twerk all night long? So when those kind of drugs.
No, if you want to do that, I'll have to refer you to someone else.
Or is it?
We have things for that. There's something for everybody. Okay, Gia.
No, what I'm saying, this is a party drug, or is it like, I'm gonna be up all night long party?
No, but by the way, one other thing I want to mention is a really huge distinction is the route of administration. So how much is taken, how much of the drug and how it's actually taken makes a huge difference. And it's different in all the things we're talking about. But one thing that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned, Tonya, is Elijah McCain and him being really murdered by the police. And that's horrible. And that's a whole other ugly side of what's happening. Again, it's not that there's anything bad about ketamine. It's what's bad about our system that's allowing these things to happen, that's empowering people to do these things to innocent people. Paramedics come and give a guy twice the amount of recommended medicine to sedate him, who's already in cuffs and not causing a problem any further or threat to himself or others at this point. And after assaulting him, inject him, and then restrict his airway further in a way that contributes to his death. I mean, it's disgusting. And it actually is happening more and more, and is more, much more common against people of color by paramedics in situations when police want them to be, want to try to sedate them. And that's a whole other problem. But again, people start talking about ketamine, they go, oh my God, what a horrible thing. It's just a tool. And it's a really powerful tool. It really has an amazing potential to heal people. And like anything, how you use it and what your intention is everything about it.
Well, is it like other drugs where you have, weight and height determinants to decide what the dosage is? And then if that's the case, how does it get so out of control or overused?
Well, normally, Elijah wasn't a big guy, and he was already restrained. But if you felt the need to provide additional restraint, or a chemical restraint, as they call it, I think that 250 milligrams would have been a large dose. and I believe he was given about 500, twice that. So there's just absolutely no reason for it. It's talk about excessive force. I mean, it makes no sense, and
Well,
it's really sad.
let's talk about that, because you're right though. That when I read the article, I was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on in this city? But again, well, let's talk about that dosage was, I'm sure, too much. But again, the paramedic administered the dosage. So shame on the paramedic. Okay, because the paramedic needs to be culpable in a little bit of that, because clearly, you just gave, I don't know how you decide what dosage to give a person when you show up anywhere, just by looking at a person, because you can look at a person and not really know how much the person weighs and things like that. And I'm sure the dosage has to do with, how much you weigh. Just like when you go to have surgery, they ask you, that's what they ask you, how much you weigh, so they know how much anesthesia to give you, so you can wake your behind up after the surgery. So if you're lying about your weight, then you might get too much of something, or not enough of something,
or not enough. Yeah, you got a girl wants to say she's real tiny, and then she wakes up with her chest open.
Yeah. So look, so ladies, stop lying on your driver's license. Put your right weight, because
just stop lying. Period.
Because it might be life or death for you sometime out there. So put your right weight on your driver's license and carrying on. But but back to that. So I think that's why I looked at the article. I'm like, okay, well, why did he get so much? And when it says he was, I think 150 pounds or something, but they gave him a dosage for, I don't know if it was a 200 pound or 180 pound plus individual.
Way more, yeah,
way more. And so again, I say to the paramedics, okay, what was, what was you guys thinking? What were they thinking when they were told to administer this? Clearly you could see, the guy. Did he look small? Did he look big? That's the part
you bring up a good point. But first of all, paramedics, their job is to understand how to assess the situation and know what to use, when, and how. But also, it's not right. Like, people have been chemically restrained by authorities unnecessarily for many, many years now. It's nothing new, and it is disproportionately done against people of color. And I don't want to get too derailed with a whole other because we could talk about this topic for a long time. And I would love to keep focused on, the treatment that we offer and what we do in my clinic, because it can really help, a lot of people. And I can't, I'm not an expert on this other issue, but from the little bit that I have read up on it, it's an ongoing long-term problem. And when paramedics come to assist police, and the police are kind of dictating medical things, that's when it's not good. That's when they're saying, hit him, give it to him, do this. The paramedics really need to be able to think and operate autonomously as to what they think is appropriate, and to not be pressured by people who don't have that medical training. And it's a complicated situation. And also, when people are struggling and there's stuff going on and people are scared, they make snap decisions that aren't always good. The truth is, it's just not. There's something called excited delirium that they like to throw around a lot, and say that anyone who's having any kind of difficulty has it as a medical condition. It's over I don't want to say over diagnosed, but they label people with that so regularly, it's just not even real. And I
don't think that something like that should be administered in the field. I really don't. That's something that if a suspect is that out of control, or that his mental state is that where they can't control him, the best thing is to get that person to a hospital where you have more medical professionals there to can assess the suspect. And if the suspect does need some type of drug to calm them down, they're in a hospital setting, and they have more information. They're equipped with a little bit more than I'm roll up on the scene. Oh, this guy's out of control and stuff. Give him something.
This guy was in handcuffs. With his hands behind his back. I mean, how much more so what if he's kind of first of all, I don't think he was particularly violent at that time, but so what if he's flailing around or talking trash or whatever? The guy's restrained at that point, you don't need to do more than that. I think you have tasers, mace, batons, handcuffs, how many, you know what I mean? I think there's enough tools in the tool belt at this point for most cases that you don't need to also have paramedics coming and giving people drugs that are, and twice the amount and killing them. Also, he wasn't given adequate care after he received the medicine, which is another thing that contributed to his death, in my opinion. If he was properly supported medically after he got the medicine, he may have lived. It wasn't just the amount, but because he was also, the way they handled him contributed to his death. And it just should never happen. It shouldn't happen once to anyone.
Sam, I wanted to ask you, are there pre-existing conditions that would keep one from being eligible to have ketamine injections?
Not a lot. It's really safe. It doesn't really have contraindications with many medications. And then pre-existing conditions, not really. I'll tell you, if somebody's bipolar, and it is very good for bipolar depression, but if someone's bipolar and they're in the middle of a manic episode, not great to have ketamine at that time. They should wait till they're maybe not manic. If somebody is schizophrenic or in the midst of a psychotic episode, or with a pretty severe kind of personality disorder, maybe it's not a good fit for them. But for just about anyone else who's dealing with most mood disorders like depression, PTSD, anxiety, suicidal thinking, or chronic pain that's a result of neuropathic pain condition, then ketamine is excellent.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a little blown away. A lot of information. My sister, along with other military vets, would probably do a lot better, maybe on ketamine than some of the medications.
Yeah.
Given thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the medications available have been the best thing that we've had, and they've helped a lot of people. So I don't want to sound like I'm just putting them all down as bad. They're not. I have friends and family who, have been kept stable or alive today because of them. They can be very good for a lot of people. I think there's also a lot of people that are dealing with negative side effects or just not as good quality of life because of them as well. And I would encourage them to look more into ketamine. The other thing is the quality of relief. So ketamine actually really restores people's zest for life. They actually experience pleasure again. They have energy and motivation. They actually feel like themselves. A lot of people on antidepressant medications report that maybe they don't feel as depressed, but they don't feel as much pleasure either. They're just kind of flat, numb, middle of the road. They're just existing. And sure, that's better than suicide, and it's better than feeling really low, but can we do more? Can we do better for patients? And I believe we can. And people who benefit from ketamine, sometimes they can reduce their medications or get off of them and have, get rid of the side effects and really experience that kind of zest for life again. Playing, writing, composing music, be more intimate with their partner, picking up a new hobby or returning to old passions and really feeling good. Honestly, a lot of patients say they felt better than they have in 20, 30 years. I mean, people have suffered their whole lives. So yeah, I'm pretty enthusiastic about it. And it's not just because my clinic does it, it's because the research and our experience support optimum outcomes for patients. And it's not, again, speaking of research, this isn't my opinion or my father's opinion. There's over 50 different clinical studies, research papers published by major institutions, Yale, Stanford, National Institute of Mental Health, the Black Dog Institute of Australia, Mount Sinai Hospital, UCLA, USC, the list goes on and on and on of legitimate research papers published showing that ketamine does work quickly and safely for people who are dealing with depression. And almost everyone in those studies, just about everyone, has been labeled treatment resistant, where they have not responded to other treatments, or not they haven't, but their depression hasn't responded to other treatments. And some of them have tried everything. So here you have something that's not only faster, better, safer, but it works for people when nothing else works. So it really is worth considering.
So Sam, is this something that you have to, ketamine, do you have to have a prescription for this or not?
You don't have to have a prescription. Our process, I mean, a doctor does need to recommend the treatment, but that can be in my clinic. You don't have to have it recommended in order to come to Ketamine Clinics Los Angeles, at least. Okay. So for us, a lot of people contact us online because their doctors, maybe they don't know about it or they're not enthusiastic because they don't offer it. So people just find us.
And then, that was a question I had. Is it a prescription referral type drug, or I can just come in off the street if I'm familiar with your clinic? Not and I'm suffering from something, I can just come in and get it over over the counter from you? That was one question.
Right.
And then the next question is you say you have to get it in through IV. So I'm spending like an hour or so out of my day getting this injected into my body. So the next thing, is this expensive? If I was a person and I said, I'm going to try this ketamine to help me with my depression, or if a mother or father wants to, try this for, their child, or, or something, how much is this an expensive drug or not? Or is it something that you don't want to let us know how expensive it is or how cheap it is? What is it?
Yeah, so great question. So you can't just come off the street. You do need a call. We do a consultation. We get a medical release. We speak with your treating physician, usually psychiatrist or therapist, to get some background on you, your treatment history. We want to know, a little bit more about you and if this really is a good fit. For most people who have those conditions and have struggled with them, it is, but we need to verify some of that and figure it out. So we don't just take anyone and everyone and there's no walk-ins.
Okay.
Then we'll do a more formal intake over the phone. Then when you come in, we do depression assessments, paperwork, a brief physical exam, and all that to really get a pretty complete chart on you before we actually start treatment. So there is a little bit of a process, but we streamline it. We make it pretty quick and easy. We can actually do everything over the phone so that when you come into the clinic for the first time on that day, you'll actually have your first infusion. As far as cost, I'd say that's probably the only downside to the treatment. It is an out-of-pocket cost, and it's not a ton of money, but for some people it could be not feasible. Insurance companies are starting to reimburse certain patients some money if they have a good PPO insurance with out-of-network benefits, and depending on their policy, if they've met their deductible, a lot of different factors. But generally, like a good PPO with out-of-network, you have a good chance of getting some money back, not the full amount, but we have to take cash up front.
That's what I want to know. Oh, okay. One more question. We're talking about people that, have insurance, the PPOs and out-of-pocket stuff. Let's talk about the people who don't have insurance. Do you guys take Medi-Cal or Medicaid or Medi-Cal?
Unfortunately, we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the cost of the treatment is a series of 6 infusions. Each infusion is about an hour. Then you're in the clinic for another hour, just with the prep and the recovery time. So it's about a 2-hour visit. It's 6 visits in one series, and it comes out to $3,900. So that breaks out to about $750 for the first 2, and then $600 for each infusion after that. So it's $3,900 for everything. So
okay. So I look at this, I think about, it's really what your preference of what you need, because it's almost like, a person going to get some work done. How much it costs to get work done in some areas, they're spending that kind of money too. So, okay.
This kind of work has a little bit of a different impact and a little more of a lasting kind of an impact.
I did want to ask really quick, for temporary situations like postpartum, which I've suffered from, and is that something that you would recommend? Because that'll eventually go away anyways, or is it something that ketamine could still help? Would you recommend it, or would you recommend them to just find other ways of coping until it?
No, that's a great question. No, postpartum depression is a real serious problem. It's actually the #1 cause of death for new mothers, is actually postpartum depression. So it's a serious thing. Ketamine's great for it. It works. It doesn't actually, there's not a lot of actual research on this, but there's a lot of reason to believe it's not actually going to be a significant issue with the breast milk. Whereas like SSRIs or other antidepressants can be a problem. So it's actually a safer option. And the timing of it, because of the half-life and how long it's in the system and a lot of technical stuff that I'm not going to try to get into, but you have a really good opportunity to get relief without it being an impact and a negative impact. And that first period of time when you have a child, it's so critical to have that that mother-baby bond, and for the family to be together and the child, and it's a super critical time. And if mom is too feels like the baby's a burden, or everything's a burden, or I don't have the energy to play or to take care of you, it has lifelong consequences for the whole family. So it's a really critical time. And I wouldn't say no, just go try to figure something else out. I really think ketamine is probably one of the best things that the mother could do. There was a study out of China that mothers right after giving birth got one injection of ketamine, not an infusion like we do, but an injection right after cord clamping. It was a large study. It was like 350 women. Half of them got a shot of ketamine right after they gave birth, and they clamped the cord, shot of ketamine, which is not how we do it, and not the most therapeutic, but still can help. And the other half didn't. And I don't remember the exact numbers. I don't want to, make anything up, but the number of the women who got that injection, the prevalence of postpartum depression was like almost non-existent. It was completely just wasn't there. So there's some amazing things that are being looked into with ketamine for prophylaxis too, to prevent the onset of things, prevent like PTSD. Like they gave a bunch of mice ketamine, half of them got ketamine, half didn't, and then they exposed half of the mice to trauma, and all of the mice to trauma, but half got ketamine, half didn't. Well, the mice that got ketamine before the trauma didn't have PTSD symptoms like the other mice. So there's actually a protective effect of ketamine on the brain. So there's a lot of things going on in this space and a lot of different conditions that we're looking at. And it's, like I said, it's just a really, really versatile drug.
Wow. So on a personal note, Sam, what have you been up to? What else is going on with you? I got to get in your business. Can't let you go until I find out what's going on with Sam.
What's going on with Sam? Well, as I'm sure you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about what I do with Ketamine Clinics Los Angeles. The pandemic was and has been incredibly hard, as I know it has for everyone. Hard on me personally, professionally, trying to keep the business. We've remained open this entire time, which is amazing. And also it's been challenging to take these extra precautions to protect our team, our patients. So that's been, a lot, but I'm really grateful. The clinic is going well. We are getting busier. People are healthy. Our patients are happy and getting good results still. So that's been really great. As you mentioned, I'm an actor. I'm still passionate about acting, and the acting has been pretty quiet during the pandemic. I did do a feature film, or I guess a long short. It's just on the cusp of maybe being a feature or not. I guess it depends how they edit it. And that is in post-production right now. I got to play 7 different characters, and that was a lot of fun. So excited to see that whenever they cut it. And I'm still available for auditions and acting opportunities, but the pandemic has also given me an opportunity to really focus more on the clinic right now, and to not feel as torn between different interests, which is, I like to keep it interesting. Like you, Gia, I like to do a lot of different things. I like to be creative. And it's also been kind of nice to feel, in some ways, forced to be a little more focused on one at a time. It's been allowed me to grow more in this area, I guess.
So did you watch the Emmys last night?
I didn't actually. I didn't. I know. I'm a bad actor.
Well, you got to make.
Well, I normally don't. Go ahead, Tonya.
No, I was going to say you got to make sure that you keep us posted on, your work and what's coming up, so we can support, because we always support our guests. You are now part of the My Morning Coffee podcast family.
Thank you.
So you want to keep us posted. What were you going to say, Gia?
And if you want us to guest appear in any of your acting things, give us a call. We're always open to new opportunities,
Absolutely. It would be an honor to have you.
Yeah, we're working on our acting skills, so
yeah.
Hey.
She's always cutting up. Let the people know where they can find you, more information about the clinic, and anything else you want them to walk away with.
Yeah, so ketamineclinics.com. That's KETAMINE, and then clinics, CLINICS.com. That's the website. We're on social media, Ketamine Clinics LA, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that. It's just Ketamine Clinics LA. Again, name of the practice is Ketamine Clinics Los Angeles. You can call us too, 310-270-0625. We have an awesome team. We have 5 medical people, 5 administrative people, beautiful state-of-the-art facility, and we're always happy to talk to you. There's no obligation. It doesn't cost anything. Tons of information on the website. Give us a call, ask us questions. We'll give you all the time you need just to find out if this is something that might be good for you or a loved one. And I would just tell anyone listening who's dealing with anything or has somebody in their life who is, that there is hope. Ketamine is not the only innovation happening in mental health. There's other exciting things coming, through the pipeline. And if you think you've tried everything, you haven't. And I can say that without knowing you. And just hang in there, have faith, have hope, and talk to people and get help if you need it.
Awesome. What's going on with you, Miss Gia? What do we have to look forward to?
Just look forward to seeing the mahogany box in the streets, you know, mahogany box wear, jewelry, head wraps, coming out with new stuff. So we'll be popping up in the streets. We'll be popping up on Zoom. We'll be popping up everywhere. So look for us, and, you know, grab your piece or two, you know, support small businesses.
So yesterday, a couple days ago, we actually got to discuss Miss Gia's retirement. So until that day comes, we're going to be planning a big shebang. And Sam, you have to make sure that you come out and celebrate with us.
I would love that.
Miss Gia to retire from LA County Sheriff and dedicate all her time to all of my pitches and making crazy stuff happen.
That's great. And eating up all the cakes.
And eat up all the cake, my cake taster. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Tonya McKenzie, you can always find me at Sand and Shores for your PR and branding and leadership needs, or Tonya McKenzie PR if you want to crack a joke or talk about something else besides PR, right? So all that being said, thank you guys for showing up today. Sam, we appreciate your time. The information was pivotal. I know right now a lot of people are going through things, depression, mental illness, tired of COVID, not sure how they're going to recover, stuck, not sure how they're going to move forward. I definitely suggest you have a talk with Sam or someone that can point you in the direction of healing and being progressive about your mental health, because it is hugely important. Once this pandemic is over, we all need to move on, physically, mentally, and socially. So thank you guys again, and we hope you have an awesome rest of your week.
Thanks so much, Tonya. Thanks, Gia.
Thank you.